Hello, welcome to the fourth lesson of the Unit Rates and Proportions unit. Make sure that you fill in this top objective and unit. So the unit is 6.1.2, Unit Rates and Proportions, and today we're going to learn, by the end of this lesson, I hope you will be able to solve problems using proportions. Don't forget your name, your class. Still don't know why that date is there. No clue, honestly. So just cross it out and put that date and then come back. All right. The first thing I would like us to do is just review, and actually I want us to review cross multiplication. Cross multiplication. So I'm hoping that you can do this problem using 4 times 18 and then 5 times x and then solving. And the reason I want to do it this way is because to go from 5 to 18, there isn't a real good number that stands out that we can multiply by. So I want us to use cross multiplication. Again, solve and then come back and check to see how you did. All right, so I did cross multiplication. I multiplied the 5 and the x to get 5x. I multiplied the 4 and the 18 to get 72. And they're equal to each other because that's what we know about proportions. So I split this up just so you could see what I was doing, but generally I don't. It's multiplied, so we have to divide. It's multiplied because what we're trying to figure out is 5 times what number is 72, so we have to work backwards. It's multiplied, so we divide. The other way to think about it are those fact families that you learned about. 72, 5 times x is 72, therefore 72 divided by 5 is x. So I came out with 14.4. Please mark this if you got it wrong so we can talk about it. Ask a question over here if you need to. All right, our example number 1. We are going to do some annotating. So Uncle Mark makes airplane parts at the military for the military at work. For every 300 parts that he makes, so those are the total parts, there are 18 defective parts. If his company, and here's the question, if his company ships out 5,800 parts, how many will be defective? So again, this is total parts. So I circled some things, I underlined some things. Before we actually solve it, there's something important I want you to write down about solving proportions or setting up proportions. To set up a proportion, and we're going to write it over here in column 2, just so I know that you will be able to highlight it because this is so important. To set up a proportion, make sure to, make sure each, that sounds better, each ratio, because remember proportion are 2 ratios equal to each other. Make sure each ratio are written in the same order. So when we were writing ratios, it was important that you wrote it in the right order, stars to triangles or girls to boys, whichever. But here we have to set up ours so they are, each ratio are in the same order. Okay, the same order, so important. And I'll show you what I mean. So I know that I have a number here. We're talking 300 parts, so 300 total parts, 18 are defective. So I'm going to do total to defective. So I know that 300 total parts, there are 18 defective parts. So now when I'm reading the question, I have to figure out if my next number is going to be on the top or the bottom. If this company ships out 5,800 parts, how many will be defective? Well, holy cow, how many will be defective? Defective is in the denominator, so I know that's where my unknown is going to be. And then 300 is my total, so I have that. So now I can use that cross multiplication to solve. And the reason I'm choosing cross multiplication is because I don't see off the top of my head 300 times what is 580. So I'm going to use cross multiplication. So I'm going to do 300 times x is 300x. 18 times 5,800. That's a big number, so I'm going to use my calculator. So please pause, get a calculator, and do this multiplication problem for me. I came up with 104,400. Hopefully you did as well. And so then I'm going to remember 3 times x, if it equals 104,400, that means 104,400 divided by 300. So we're doing that working backwards or facts family. So it's multiplied. So I'm going to divide. So x equals, again, pause and do that arithmetic. I want to make sure you know how to use your calculator. I came up with 348. But I'm not done with this problem because I have not answered the question. So to answer the question, I have to say, let me change colors here. There will be 348 defective parts. And you could make that a longer sentence and say, out of 5,800 total. All right, let's look at another one, remembering that when we write the proportion, we have to keep the order the same. At Arby's, you can get 30 euros for $90. How much would it cost to purchase 65 euros? So I'm going to do this in a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to put $90 for 30 euros. So dollars to euros. I want to keep that order. And we could have done it the other way. We could have done euros to dollars, but like I said, I always like to have my money on the top. So we're going to get a price per euro. And I want to know how much is it going to cost for 65 euros. So euros, I'm going to look over here, and the euros are on the bottom. So I'm going to put the euros on the bottom on this side for this ratio as well. So we have 65, and I don't know. So that's going to be my x. So I'm going to show you a different way to solve this, just in case you are not liking cross multiplication. And I'm going to make this look a bit better for you. All right, so we're going to go back to what we know about unit price. And we're going to do this in a couple different steps. So first I know that if it's $90 for 30 euros, and we want to know for 1 euro, I would have to divide that 30 by 30 to get to 1, and I'm going to divide the 9 by 30 to get to the price per euro. 90 divided by 30 is 3. So now I know $3 per euro. So if it's $3 per euro, $3 per euro, how many for 65 euros? So this is the one that I'm looking for. So 1 times 65 is 65. So I have to do 3 times 65. And again, pause and do that calculation and then start back again. I came up with 195. So that means my answer would be 65 euros would cost $195. That would be my answer. So again, you certainly could have cross-multiplied to have 30x equals 90 times 65, but that was such a large number. I decided to do it this way since 30 went into 90 so nicely. All right, Ms. Rather and her family took a road trip from Waukesha to the Badlands, which are 720 miles away. They drove 800 miles in a half a day. How many days did it take her to get to the Badlands? I'd like you to pause and try to set up this ratio all by yourself. And again, remember that we're trying to keep them the same, like the same order. Also, I want you to point out that when we're talking about this problem, we're assuming they drove at a constant rate. All right, so pause and see if you can at least get the ratio set up or the proportion set up. Even solve it if you think you can, but at least the proportion. All right, this is my proportion. Again, I have tried to stress about the order. I would like to, my expectation is I see these labels off to the side to help you remember your order. So for every problem you do, I want to see that you're deciding which order you're going to write the proportion or the ratios. All right, so I did this, and it's asking how many days will it take to get to the Badlands. So what we know is they're 180 is what they drove, and we have to get to 720. So again, certainly could use that cross multiplication. But I also know that 180 times 4 is 720. So that means I would have to multiply this by 4. 1/2 of 4, or 1/2 times 4, is 2. So it would take her 2 days. If it is easier for you to use the cross multiplication method, please do that. So half of 720 is 360, and again, you can use your calculator, times 100 or equals 180x, and then you divide by 180 because x is multiplied, so we divide, and x is still 2 days. All right, that's it. Peace out.